She's the top saleswoman at her company. Cold, untouchable, and completely uninterested in romance. So when a stranger at a bar challenges her to a drinking contest and wins, she figures that's the end of it. Until that same woman shows up as her new co-worker and says 5 words that change everything.
Kuroiwa Chiaki doesn't walk into a room. She commands it. Heels clicking, phone pressed to her ear, she's closing deals before most people finish their morning coffee. Her co-workers call her the sales queen, and honestly, she's earned it. A colleague catches her in the hallway. "Think you'll get that thing settled?" She doesn't even flinch. "It should be settled today," she says, cool as ever. The rest is just luck and timing, apparently. Back at her desk, Kuroiwa's on the phone handling clients like it's breathing. Documents, emails, follow-ups. This woman runs on pure efficiency. But then someone tugs at her sleeve, and suddenly the workday takes a turn she didn't see coming. It's Nishida-san, the office's beloved admin princess, and she's got news. She and Udeki from sales are entering the family register together. They're getting married. Kuroiwa's face barely shifts, but inside, that hits different. She congratulates Nishida with a warm smile, tells her the skills she learned here will carry her anywhere. Nishida tears up, feeling guilty about leaving before her senpai. But Kuroiwa handles it with the kind of grace that makes everyone in the office lose their minds. The guys in the background are literally cheering. The admin princess versus the sales queen, battling it out for superiority. Meanwhile, Kuroiwa is already over it. These two women were never competing, but try telling that to the peanut gallery. The office gossip kicks in fast. Nishida's resigning, and someone drops the bomb. Wasn't Udeki supposed to be dating Kuroiwa? She doesn't even dignify that with a real response. "I couldn't care less about Uteki-kun," she mutters, fingers hammering the keyboard. What actually bothers her is losing Nishida, a genuinely talented employee. She was slow but precise, prudent and capable, the kind of worker Kuroiwa respected. Another gem slipping through her fingers, and it stings more than she'd ever admit. So she does what any self-respecting workaholic does when the day hits too hard. She heads to her friend Atsuko's bar. A change of pace, a stiff drink, and maybe some peace and quiet. That's the plan anyway. Atsuko's thrilled to see her, but keeps it real. "I've got customers, so don't make a scene and don't drink too much." Kuroiwa waves her off with a lazy grin. She's not here to cause trouble, she's here to think. And what she's thinking about is romance. Specifically, whether it's worth anything at all. She watches Nishida throw away a career for love, and part of her is jealous, not of the man, but of the ability to feel that deeply about someone. Because Kuroiwa has never felt that pull. Every man she's dated, she's never once wanted to go all the way with any of them. She can't just hand over her body and soul to someone else. Is that really so unreasonable in this day and age? She's sitting there, picking at olives, telling herself she's fine without romance. Work is fulfilling, life is good, she doesn't need anyone. And then, like the universe heard her and took it as a personal challenge, someone walks up. "Good evening. Are you by yourself?" A woman with a dazzling smile and way too much confidence slides into the seat next to her. Kuroiwa's first thought isn't flattering. Her second thought is that this girl needs to button up her shirt. The woman asks to share a drink, and Kuroiwa immediately clocks her. This is a matchmaking bar, and this girl is clearly on the prowl. She shuts it down cold. "I'm not into that kind of thing. Sorry, wrong number." But this woman doesn't flinch. She laughs, calls Kuroiwa popular, says she has no prejudices about gender, and then she drops the real bomb. "A lady like you is just my type." The audacity is honestly impressive. Kuroiwa tells her flat out that flirting is a waste of time, men or women. The woman just grins and suggests a drinking contest. If Kuroiwa wins, she'll leave without a fuss. Kuroiwa smirks back. "That's fine, but I can hold my drink." What follows is absolute carnage. Glasses pile up. The woman keeps matching her drink for drink, while Kuroiwa slowly starts wobbling. "I haven't lost yet, I swear," she slurs, face down on the bar. The woman hasn't even broken a sweat. The woman asks about romance, says she overheard Kuroiwa earlier, then she leans in close and whispers something that cuts right through the alcohol haze. "I want to know more of your true self." And suddenly there's a hotel involved, and Kuroiwa is way too drunk to argue. Cut to morning. Kuroiwa wakes up in an unfamiliar room, piecing together the wreckage of last night. She followed a stranger to a hotel. She definitely threw up, and now she's wrapped in a towel with no memory of this woman's name. The hangover is brutal, but the real question is, what exactly happened last night? The memory hits Kuroiwa like a freight train. That woman from the hotel, Blushing, breathless, calling her cute, knew it was her first time. Kuroiwa stands in her apartment, absolutely shell-shocked, processing the fact that she just had her first experience with another woman and she can barely remember it. She tries to rationalize it away immediately. Even if something happened, it doesn't count with other women, right? She tells herself she'll never see that girl again, that worrying about it is pointless. But the way her hands are shaking says her brain and her body are having two very different conversations right now. Days pass and the office moves on. Nishida's gone, and her replacement is being introduced. The boss clears his throat, announces the new hire, and a familiar face steps forward with a sparkling smile. "My name is Mashiro Rina. It's nice to meet you." Kuroiwa's blood runs cold. The boss casually asks if Kuroiwa recognizes the new girl, and she can barely form words. Before she can object, she's been assigned to show Rina around the office. The two of them walk side by side down the hallway in the most painfully awkward silence imaginable. A coworker interrupts with a property confirmation issue, and Kuroiwa snaps right back into work mode, handling old documents, directing colleagues, being the sales queen everyone expects. But the whole time, Rina is right there, watching her with those wide, knowing eyes. Rina finally breaks the tension once they're alone. "Kuroiwa-san, do you remember last night?" Kuroiwa's jaw tightens. She remembers parts of it at least. And then she fires back with the real question. Why didn't Rina mention they worked at the same company? Rina waves it off like it's the most romantic thing in the world. It's like destiny. While Kuroiwa looks like she wants to crawl into the floor. She lays down the law immediately. They are senior and junior at this company. Nothing more, nothing less. Whatever happened last night, they should both forget it. But Rina doesn't want to forget. She flat out refuses, and the look in her eyes isn't playful anymore. It's determined. Kuroiwa tells her to keep private affairs out of the workplace, but Rina just smiles and says the thing that stops Kuroiwa mid-step. "I guess it really is that side of you that I love." That word, love, lands like a bomb in the hallway. Kuroiwa demands she not bring personal feelings into work and storms off, but the damage is done. She grabs her phone from Rina's hands, sees a photo she doesn't remember being taken, and nearly has a meltdown right there in the office. Rina nuzzles against her in the break room, murmuring about how much she loves spoiling Chiaki-senpai. Kuroiwa's face is on fire, completely frozen, caught between shoving this girl away and the terrifying realization that part of her doesn't want to. She finally snaps out of it and shoves her back with a panicked, "Wah?" Kuroiwa asks the only question that matters. If she said she'd just ignore Rina's advances, what would Rina do about it? Rina pouts, calls her cold, but then drops her voice and says something that cuts right through Kuroiwa's defenses. "But, I was happy." The elevator closes between them. The next morning, Rina ambushes her with a coffee delivery and a request to go drinking together, just the two of them. Kuroiwa shuts it down without hesitation. Why would she drink alone with a subordinate? Rina whines about being lonely at the welcome party, and their co-workers are already shipping them. Kuroiwa caves to the pressure and agrees to one drink, playing it off as professional bonding. But the look on her face as she walks away tells a different story. She's not annoyed, she's scared. This is exactly why she hates romance, because people like Rina don't take no for an answer. She storms out of the building, muttering to herself about how this girl doesn't even consider how much trouble she's causing. "This is exactly why I hate romance," she thinks, heels clicking furiously against the pavement. But there's a crack in her armor now, and she knows it. Back at the welcome party, a co-worker mentions that Kuroiwa and Rina seem to get along. Do they know each other? Kuroiwa cuts it off fast. "We just happened to meet before she transferred here." But the way she tenses up when someone teases about what Rina might have laid on her last time, that says everything. Rina approaches Kuroiwa in the break room, coffee in hand, playing the innocent Kohai card. She asks if Chiaki-senpai is being wary of her, leans in close, and Kuroiwa nearly chokes on her drink. "As if," she snaps, but her face is bright red, and they both know it. Kuroiwa stands in the restroom, staring at herself in the mirror. She's thinking about what Rina said, that she'll make Kuroiwa fall for her. The idea is ridiculous, impossible, completely out of the question, and yet she can't stop thinking about it, which might be the scariest part of all. Rina corners her by the vending machine, blocking the door. Kuroiwa isn't having it. "I'm not playing along with this. Move!" But the door is locked, and suddenly Rina is right there, way too close, whispering that she'll take her work seriously too, calling her senpai, with a heart at the end. Kuroiwa declares it loud and clear. She has no intention of doing romance. Not with men, not with women, not with anyone. She means it, every word. Her face is set in stone, her voice doesn't waver, and for a moment she looks like the unshakable sales queen everyone knows. But Rina just smiles, tilts her head, and says the 5 words that change everything. "I'm definitely gonna make you fall for me." And the way Kuroiwa's eyes widen, just slightly, just enough, tells us this war is far from over. Later that night, Kuroiwa sits at the bar alone, ordering oolong tea and edamame with cream cheese. 1 beer, and she's done. She's not making the same mistake twice. But when Rina slides in beside her with that knowing grin, we already know Kuroiwa's careful plans are about to fall apart all over again. The morning after that disaster of a welcome party, Atsuko comes storming over with one question. "Were you okay after leaving with that woman?" Kuroiwa plays it cool, pretending she doesn't know what Atsuko's talking about, but Atsuko saw them leaving together, and she's not buying the act for a second. Atsuko drops a bomb of her own. Turns out Mashiro Rina is pretty famous in their social circle. She's known for targeting women she takes a fancy to, bringing them home and making them fall for her. Kuroiwa sips her coffee in silence, but her jaw is tight enough to crack a molar. So now they're at the izakaya together, just the 2 of them, exactly like Rina wanted. Kuroiwa orders oolong tea and edamame with cream cheese. No alcohol, no mistakes. Rina pouts about it, but Kuroiwa shuts it down cold. She's not making the same mistake twice. Rina reaches for Kuroiwa's hand across the table, and Kuroiwa slaps it away without hesitation. But Rina just grins and chirps that she's already seen Kuroiwa without clothes on, so there's no need to be shy. The look on Kuroiwa's face could curdle milk. Kuroiwa finally asks the question that's been eating her alive. She wants to know what happened that night in specific detail. She admits she remembers bits and pieces, but not everything. Rina's eyes light up like she just won the lottery. Rina leans in close and offers to help fill in the blanks. Kuroiwa hesitates, then mutters a reluctant, "I guess." That tiny concession is all Rina needs. She grabs Kuroiwa's hand with both of hers, sparkling with excitement, and says those hands felt really good. Rina tells Kuroiwa she doesn't need to worry about what happened, and Kuroiwa snaps back that she's not worried. It just feels like Rina is taking advantage of her weakness, and that infuriates her. Rina calls that side of her cute, and Kuroiwa looks ready to flip the table. Rina starts walking her through the events of that night. After they left the bar, Kuroiwa threw up on the sidewalk and was in no state to even ride in a taxi, so Rina took her to a nearby hotel, gave her a bath, and washed her clothes. Kuroiwa's pride is dying in real time. Kuroiwa can barely process the embarrassment. She selfishly demanded a bath, threw up everywhere, and this woman she'd just met cleaned up after her without complaint. She apologizes profusely, but Rina just waves it off with a warm smile and says not to worry about it. Rina slides a drink menu toward Kuroiwa and says she's going to head out soon, so Kuroiwa should order whatever she wants, her treat. She cheerfully announces she'd gladly pay to sort out the messes of the woman she loves. Kuroiwa's eye twitches, but before she can object, Rina is already ordering her a ginger sour. Rina tells her to relax. She won't get her wasted. But can she really listen to the rest of this story sober? That line lands perfectly, and Kuroiwa reluctantly agrees to one light drink. They clink glasses, and Rina picks up right where she left off, describing how Kuroiwa suddenly hugged her after the bath. The flashback hits hard. Drunk Kuroiwa, fresh out of the bath, wrapped her arms around Rina and confessed she had a complex about having no experience. Rina held her back and answered honestly. Kuroiwa's face drains of color as she realizes just how vulnerable she was that night. Kuroiwa asks what exactly Rina told her in return, and the conversation veers into dangerous territory. Rina confirms Kuroiwa was the one who came onto her, not the other way around. Kuroiwa nearly chokes on her drink, then grabs Rina's glass and starts chugging it instead. Rina calls her a romance supremacist, always on the lookout for love. Kuroiwa fires back, asking if she doesn't have anything better to do, but then she goes quiet and asks the question she's been holding back. Does Rina only like her because she has no experience? Rina's response is immediate and unshakable. She says it was love at first sight, plain and simple. Kuroiwa is just her type. The same thing she said that very first night at the bar. There's no game, no fetish, just genuine attraction. And for once, Kuroiwa doesn't have a comeback. Kuroiwa sputters that she didn't mean to bring it up, tries to change the subject. But Rina asks a follow-up that sends a chill down her spine. She says Kuroiwa is sharp, and she thought for a moment that Kuroiwa had figured out her real nature. Kuroiwa's eyes narrow. Rina drops her mask just slightly, confessing what she really is underneath all that bubbly charm. She finds conceited, prideful women who think they're always right, and she makes them obsessed with her, hogging them to herself, messing them up from the inside. She admits Kuroiwa is exactly her type too. Kuroiwa glances over and finds Rina has fallen asleep at the bar again, just like that first night. She sighs, but instead of walking away, she calls a taxi and tells Rina to ride with her. The surprise on Rina's face is genuine for once, no performance, no teasing. Kuroiwa tells Rina she's her senpai after all, and looking out for her is the bare minimum. But the condition is clear. No weird stuff at the office. Rina's eyes go wide, then soften into something that looks dangerously close to real affection as she agrees. Rina lights up and immediately pushes her luck. Maybe she'll sleep over at Kuroiwa's place tonight. Kuroiwa shoots it down without blinking, but as they walk side by side under the streetlights, something between them has shifted and they both know it. And here's the thing that should keep you up at night. Rina just confessed to being a predator who targets proud women and breaks them down from the inside. She said it with a smile. And Kuroiwa, the woman who swore she'd never do romance, just offered to share a taxi home with her anyway. Atsuko calls Kuroiwa the next morning, still freaking out about the taxi situation. She can tell something happened. Kuroiwa has that vibe. But Kuroiwa brushes her off, says nothing went down, and hangs up before Atsuko can push harder. Atsuko stares at her phone, muttering about that stupid Chiaki, wondering if she should send a line message or just let it go. The next day at the office, Rina bounces up to Kuroiwa with a cheerful, "Good work today, Chiaki-senpai. Thanks for yesterday." Kuroiwa's face goes dark immediately. She told this girl not to talk to her more than necessary, didn't she? But Rina just smiles like she didn't hear a word of it. Rina offers to treat Kuroiwa to lunch as a thank you, but Kuroiwa shuts it down, claiming she prefers bentos. Total lie. The narration literally calls it out, but Rina takes it at face value and asks about good lunch spots in the area, already working her way deeper into Kuroiwa's daily routine. The next day, Rina shows up to the break room with a homemade bento and asks if they can eat together. Kuroiwa tries to deflect, saying the break room is for everyone, but Rina takes that as permission. She opens her box with a triumphant, "Tada!" A gorgeous spread she remembered Kuroiwa said she preferred. Kuroiwa calls her quite the hard worker, and Rina offers her a bite of sweet and salty burdock with yam. Kuroiwa accepts, reluctantly, but she accepts. When she takes the food from Rina's chopsticks and says it'd go well with alcohol, the softness in her expression betrays everything she's trying to hide. Rina asks if Kuroiwa went to an all-girls high school, and Kuroiwa confirms it, though her middle school was co-ed. They chat about rice ball fillings like two normal people, tuna mayo versus salmon with sesame, and Rina quietly offers to make Kuroiwa a bento too. The domesticity of it all is almost unbearable. Kuroiwa takes one bite of the bento Rina made her, says thanks for the food, and heads out for a 1 p.m. sales appointment without looking back. Rina watches her leave, and the mask slips. She thinks about that cold, impenetrable side of Kuroiwa, and whispers that she'll definitely make her fall, then cast her aside. But then a co-worker comes in, compliments her bento, and Rina's face shifts back to that sweet, innocent smile in an instant. She's a completely different person with the men in the office. Soothing, easygoing, cute. Nobody suspects a thing, and watching her switch between personas is genuinely chilling. Kuroiwa is deep in her busy season. Client calls, meetings, documents piling up. She pulls a colleague aside to coordinate help for a client who insists on paper copies during the busiest time of year. Even in the chaos, she's still the sharpest person in the building. She overhears co-workers in the smoking area talking about Mashiro. They say she's really easygoing and soothing. Different from Nishida-san. A bit slow, sure, but sweet. Kuroiwa listens silently, and something about their casual praise of Rina makes her jaw tighten. Kuroiwa checks the clock. She has time before her next meeting. She tells herself to focus, but her mind wanders to her deodorant spray, realizing it's empty. She's running on fumes, pushing through the busy period by sheer willpower, and it's starting to show in ways she can't control. She rounds a corner too fast and crashes right into Rina, sending them both stumbling. Kuroiwa catches herself, mutters an apology, but she's already annoyed at her own carelessness. A co-worker checks on Rina afterward, worried Kuroiwa might have bumped her on purpose since she's known for being strict. Rina waves it off completely. It was her fault for not watching where she was going, she says. The co-worker offers to support her, and Rina thanks him sweetly. But the moment she's alone, she turns to call after Kuroiwa, and Kuroiwa stops in her tracks. Kuroiwa finds Rina at her desk late in the evening, typing away at documents for clients who are far off in the schedule. Rina admits she's a slow typer, so she's getting a head start. Kuroiwa looks at the screen, then teaches her a shortcut command to process things faster. No fanfare, no softness, just practical help. Then Kuroiwa says something that catches them both off guard. She tells Rina that people may call her slow or careless, but she found a job she can do and is taking initiative that others wouldn't. She doesn't think Rina can't do her job at all. It's the closest thing to a compliment Kuroiwa has ever given anyone. Rina's eyes go wide. She leans in close with a giddy smile. "Chiaki-senpai, Are you praising me? Kuroiwa deflects instantly, saying she just doesn't like seeing talented people dismissed as useless. But the damage is done. Rina promises to make herself even more useful if Kuroiwa keeps praising her. Kuroiwa walks away trying to process what just happened. She told herself she had no interest in women, or so she thought. But now she's touching her lips absent-mindedly, and Rina notices immediately, asking if she's thinking about something naughty. Kuroiwa threatens to knock her flat. Rina just giggles and says Kuroiwa is kind even when she's scowling. Then she mentions that a lot of guys in the office seem to like Rina, so if it's romance she wants, she doesn't need to waste her time on Kuroiwa. Rina's response is instant and devastating. She has no interest in men whatsoever. Kuroiwa blinks. She wasn't expecting that kind of honesty, and she definitely wasn't expecting the follow-up. Rina tells her that she also has no sexual interest in women, or at least that's what she always believed. The implication hangs in the air like a live grenade between them. Back at her desk, Kuroiwa stares at her phone, thinking about how Rina noticed the shortcut she taught her, how she stayed late to improve, how she smiled when praised. She can't believe Rina actually noticed those things, and she can't believe she cares that Rina noticed. The sales queen's armor is cracking, and the woman trying to shatter it is sitting 20 feet away, eating a homemade bento with a smile that hides something far more dangerous.